Congratulations, you booked your river cruise. Now what? I'm going to take you through all the important things that you need to do, whether you've booked it on Viking or Ama or Avalon, Uniworld, Tauk. These are really important steps that you should take right now to make sure that you have the best trip possible. Hey, I'm Mark with Digital Romance. So let me take you through what we find are the things that we always advise clients and even ourselves. We have some river cruises coming up, and these are the things that we have started to do as well. Number one, check your confirmation that you will receive from the cruise line and your travel advisor. Almost always, there's not going to be a problem, but we've done enough of these to see that sometimes there is a problem. It could be as simple as name being entered incorrectly. We've even seen where we've called in a reservation to a river cruise line, and rather than going from Amsterdam to Basel, it was actually booked in reverse, Basel to Amsterdam. Verify the ship, the dates, the start and end date, any type of special request that you put in, and also make sure that your confirmation shows any additional perks and bonuses that you're entitled to. And then take note of your final payment dates and right away set a calendar alert for yourself. I suggest placing that about a week in advance so you have enough time just in case you're busy or traveling to make sure you get that final payment in on time. The next really important thing is take a look at your passport and make sure that you have enough time from your expiration date. The rules do change depending upon the country or countries you're going to, but if you just want the safest, no worries, then we always tell people make sure you have 6 months of validity on the expiration date from where your cruise ends. This way you don't have to worry about any little nuances from country to country. That should cover you in virtually all cases. And also, it's always a good idea to have at least a couple of blank pages on the passport in your passport, and then you're not going to have any issues. You really do need time if you need to renew. It does take some time. If you're in a rush, it's extremely expensive. You can get expedited passport renewals. It is doable, even a couple of weeks out, but you got a lot more stress and probably a lot more cost. We also recommend making some color copies and saving those to your phone. It's always a good idea to have that when you're out exploring. We typically like to leave our passport in the safe on the ship, but it never hurts to make sure that you have a copy of it on your phone so it's readily accessible in case you need to show it to anybody. Now, the next thing that comes up are visas, travel authorizations. Typically, let's say most people that we book are doing European river cruises. You're going to be fine. Normally, right, there's a 90-day visa. Right now, and things just change all the time. So I'll put a few things up on the screen. There is the possibility still of coming later this year of needing to apply online in Europe. It's been delayed multiple times, so I don't want to tell you for sure that that's when it's going to be, but just be aware of it. Your river cruise company, your travel advisor, etc., will typically let you know when this is going to happen, but it's very easy to find online. The only thing I would highly recommend, be very careful the websites you go to that are advertising things like visas, ETIAS, etc., because sometimes they're third-party sites. Best case is they're just charging more money. Two, you don't really sometimes know where you're putting in your credit card. So be very careful. Make sure that it is the authorized website for that country, for that visa, for that program, and not a third party. Just be very careful with that. And again, if you're also going into some more exotic river cruises, such as to Egypt or to the Mekong or Africa, you may have further requirements. Typically, the river cruise companies are going to be very detailed with you on what you need. Just keep an eye out for that. Now, we always recommend travel insurance. It's not required, but we would typically suggest you look into it. It can cover you for a lot of things, and most of the time, your health insurance is not going to cover you in Europe and Asia and Africa, etc. And you may also want, besides health coverage for cancellations or flight delays. There may be different things that you want to have coverage for, or maybe even life reasons that you need to cancel and you would like to get your deposit or even your payments or most of it back. So we always recommend to look into this. There is a variety of different insurance. Of course, in a short video like this, I can't take you through every possible type of insurance, but we do have a fair amount of people do purchase cancel for any reason. It usually won't be 100% refund, but a lot of times even up to 80% is possible. Evacuation is a concern for a lot of people. Trip interruption, misconnections, things do happen. So this coverage is certainly worth looking into. We personally at Cruise Planners use Allianz. That's our provider of choice, but of course you can use whoever you're most comfortable with. Your cruise line also will sell you insurance. We usually recommend getting third-party insurance because what the river cruise company sells you is going to cover just that cruise. It's not going to cover if you stay on before or after. You go somewhere else. It may not be the complete coverage that you want. Now, flights is going to be a big thing. You need to get there. These are going to be long flights. You want to book strategically. Just know for the most part, most of the time on international flights, about 11 months in advance is when you're going to start to see schedules being released. Look at it right away because number one, you'll have the most availability. Number two, a lot of times you'll have best pricing. Not always, of course, there can be exceptions. Better pricing can sometimes come 6 months out, 4 months out, but you just don't know that. It's a guessing game at that point. If you can find a good schedule for a good price, you should really consider booking it. If you're booking more last minute, you might want to actually check flight availability first before you put the deposit down on the cruise, just in case, right? You don't want to go ahead, book that cruise, pay the deposit, find out the deposit is non-refundable, and then there's just no way you can get there on a reasonable flight, or it's 2 connections each way. A lot of river cruise companies do have air departments, and sometimes they're fairly reasonable with what they charge. It makes it logistically really simple. They will almost always include your transfers from the airport to the ship or to the hotel. It's a really seamless, easy way to do it. It may not be always the least expensive way. You might be paying a little bit more than you could book on your own. You also give up some control. Sometimes they will charge you a little bit extra and they're willing to work with you more one-on-one rather than just assigning you your flights. It may be worth that additional cost to go ahead and do that. Cruise lines call it like Air Plus or something similar. That might be something to look into. Now, if you want to use points, you definitely want to do it on your own. In either case, what I recommend you should do is go to Google Flights, find out first, where are the flights from my hometown or close or the major airport near me to where I'm starting that cruise and where I'm coming back. See what's available. What is the time? Are there direct flights? Are there connections? How easy are the connections? And then if you're going to want to use points, one website I suggest starting with is pointsyeah.com. It's a very good search engine to find what might be available. Remember, when you're looking at flights, these are typically, almost always, going to be open jaw, meaning you're flying into city A and you're going to fly home from city B. There are, of course, river cruises that go round trip from Amsterdam, round trip from Paris. There are. But most people that we book tend to be going into one city and leaving from another. Also, make sure you understand what is the closest major airport to where I'm departing from. For instance, on the Rhine, if you might be leaving out of, Basel, most of the time in that situation, people are going to be flying into Zurich. Many times on the Danube, you will be ending in Germany. You'll usually be taking a transfer to Munich, and that'll be your major airport to return. But sometimes it's Frankfurt. So make sure you're aware of where it's easiest and best to go into and out of, so you know where to go ahead and check your flights and your times and your availability. Always, always, we suggest arrive at least 1 day early. I really just don't recommend that you show up getting in the morning of the river cruise departure. Could you do it? Yes. In fact, recently we went on a Viking. We had to come in the morning of, but that ship happened to be overnighting in that same departure point. So we knew worst case, if we got in late or at night or even the next morning from a crazy delay, we still were going to be able to make the cruise. Be very careful with that. By the way, if you need any help booking a river cruise or an ocean cruise, we're more than happy to work with you personally. Myself, Monica, Teresa, our team. You've got a link there on the screen. Also, you can go to digitalromance.com/cruising. Just let us know what you're thinking about. Even if you haven't specifically picked the river cruise or ocean cruise for you, we can help you with that. We've worked with hundreds of people already who watch these videos. More than happy to personally work with you, get you your best deal, some added perks and amenities, and get you on the next great adventure. Now, another thing we always recommend is you're going a long way, right? These are long flights. Take advantage of it. If you can, spend a little time in the beginning and the end, right? Come in at least a few days before the river cruise, leave a few days after. A lot of the start and end cities, those alone are destinations in their own right. If you're on the Danube, spending a few days in Budapest or Vienna or Nuremberg or Passau, absolutely, you can spend a few days. You can go to the major city like Munich and spend a few days or do it at the end as well. You've got Amsterdam, you've got Basel. You can get to other places that are somewhat nearby like Cologne. This is very doable. If you happen to be doing rivers in France, you've got Lyon, you've got Paris. There's a lot of great opportunities. You can see it on the screen. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. I just want to remind you, you're starting in incredible destinations or ending in amazing destinations in their own right. Go ahead and take advantage of that. Many times the river cruise lines will book pre and post. They're not going to be the least expensive way to do it. They're really convenient, right? Because they'll provide hotel, sometimes an on-site rep, sometimes a walking tour. You'll pay a little bit of a premium for it, but it's not difficult at all, especially like in Europe, to go ahead, even on your own or with the help of your travel advisor, book a few days pre or post and a few really great highlights to really make this a great trip. A lot of times you can take a train for just 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes even a flight. Maybe your dream is to visit Barcelona or Lisbon. Well, those aren't typically where river cruises are going to go out of. But in Europe, it's so easy to take an EasyJet or a Ryanair 1 or 2 hour hop to your departure city. That's something to consider as well. We have people who do that all the time. So if you really want to extend the trip, this is a way to do it. One suggestion, if you want to use AI, again, take a quick photo. You can give ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. I've got a little prompt there. We're finishing a river cruise in Budapest and have 4 extra days. We love food, history, walkable cities. What's within a 2 to 3 hour train ride? It's going to give you amazing ideas. It's going to give you great brainstorms, okay? The more specific you get with that prompt, that's what it's called in AI, the better your output. Don't be really generic. Don't just say, leaving out of Budapest, I want to spend a few days before. What should I do? Tell it more about yourself. What do you like to do? What do you both like to do? What do you like to explore? Any place you want to avoid, the better quality answer you're going to get. You might find some really amazing hidden gems. One amazing thing about river cruises is most of the time, especially all the ones that we're booking people on, your excursions are included. There are sometimes optional excursions as well. For instance, we booked ourselves into an Avalon river cruise and we just went through the schedule. And every port that we're stopping, we have at least 2 choices. Usually one's more of a classic and one is an active. Then on some of the stops where we're there the full day, they will sometimes offer us like an optional excursion. We've done multiple river cruises where we've never done a single optional and we've only done the included. And then we just take time in each port when we have time and go out on our own. Normally, like I said, you should at least have one option, take included option or choose between the 2 or 3 that you have. You might as well, it's included, and then decide if you want to do the optional. A little different than ocean cruises. These are small ships, not a lot of people. You don't need to panic book like we sometimes do. When they make excursions available, we're rushing to get things booked because we're competing against 4,000 people. You're not competing against 4,000 people, right? There's 150 to 200 people on the ship. You don't have to make the decision the day everything's released. What I would suggest too is looking into self-touring. Most of the time, the river cruise lines will dock right in the center. Even if they don't, because it's very busy, they'll have typically a shuttle that'll take you to the center and you can just walk off and explore. Some of the ships, if they cater to more active travelers, will have complimentary bicycles. Take a bike, take a hike, do whatever, be active. Just take a walk. Go ahead and grab some food, do some shopping, walk up to the viewpoint. You'd be shocked how much you can do literally on your own besides the included excursions. Next, by all means, download the app so you can, one, go offline. Most river cruise lines will have an app. Make sure you download it. Go ahead and log in. You should see your cruise. Many times you can select excursions right there. The daily itinerary will be there once you're on the ship. Sometimes you can even do check-in advice on things you should download before you depart. This isn't like urging you to do right away, but it's always a good idea to download from Google Maps. You can download every city on the itinerary just in case you don't have a good connection or you don't have a connection at all. If you're worried about, will you have streaming, that sort of thing, download some of your Netflix, your Kindle, your podcasts, your shows. All of the cruise lines have included Wi-Fi. Sometimes they discourage you from streaming or high data. It's just better to do as much as you can in advance. Another thing is, if you're going to use any ride sharing, it's a good idea to have the rideshare apps like Uber, Bolt, and FreeNow. Those are really good choices, especially in Europe. Now, if you're elsewhere, you want to probably find out what rideshare apps are used the most in the places you're going, because sometimes you're going to need it. We did a Christmas market river cruise, and we used it a couple times to take us to the markets when we were sort of doing it on our own a little bit, and it was very helpful. And once we needed to get back to the ship, so we had to have the rideshare because we just couldn't figure out an easy way to do it, public transport. The next thing is make sure you have connectivity. What we would typically recommend, for most people, they check with their carrier. If you have T-Mobile, it typically includes international data, international connection standard. If you have AT&T, Verizon, see what kind of passes they have. Set that up in advance so you know what's available to you. However, what we do typically, we just get an eSIM. You have to have an unlocked phone typically to install an eSIM. For instance, on our iPhone, we always use one from Saily.com. It's just really simple and really easy. We like it because we install the SIM once, and then we can pick cities. So we can pick countries, regions. We don't have to keep installing the eSIM. If you don't travel frequently, maybe just best to check with your carrier. If you travel more frequently, you may want to look into an eSIM solution. But do it before you go. People ask all the time about money. I don't think there's any need to bring currency. We a lot of times have currency with us because we're traveling a lot, and many times we'll leave the region and still have euros. And so, of course, we bring them with us, but it's super easy at airports, etc., to get currency if you need it. We've sometimes traveled for a month and never once needed cash. Everything these days in a lot of places is tap or your credit card. So we lean into that as much as possible. But of course, there's going to be times you're going to want a little bit of cash. Even if gratuities are included with your river cruise, it's really nice to tip the local tour guides. I would suggest that you understand which credit card you have that doesn't charge foreign transaction fees, because you don't want to get back after charging a lot of money traveling and realize they charge you 2, 3, 4% for every charge. Just double check that. Another thing is when you go to the ATM and it asks you, do you want us to convert it to dollars with your bank? Say no. Okay, your bank will convert it. Take out those 200 euros, let your bank convert it. You'll get a way better rate than the ATM. That ATM is designed to make money off of the conversion. If you go to a store and you tap your credit card and it realizes you're a US credit card, it might say, do you want this converted to USD? Say no. You're going to be better off not converting. You usually pay about 10% extra sometimes. Just go ahead and pay in that currency, and your bank at home, your credit card company, etc., will convert it and give you a better rate. Let's say you spend a few days before the cruise, do some walking tours. Many times you can do free walking tours. You could put in free walking tour Amsterdam, and you'll be surprised how many highly reviewed ones you find. Now, it is free itself, the tour, then you tip nicely at the end for what you think that it's worth. Another big tip that we give people is do a food tour. Food tours are amazing because it combines culture, walking tour, a local experience, and then great food. There's so many excellent ones. We've done dozens of food tours around the world. We look a lot of times on Viator or Get Your Guide. That's where to find good local operators where you can trust. You'll see hundreds of reviews. Remember, book key attractions in advance. You don't want to be disappointed. You're going to be happy if you plan in advance. Now, you'll need to get from the airport to the ship. If you went ahead and you booked your air with the river cruise line, they'll typically always include transfers. Most river cruise lines will sell you transfers. If you don't want to do it that way, there's great public transit. We've done this multiple times where we just take the train right from the airport. That is doable. Ride hailing, very doable. So there are multiple options. Just make sure you know, how am I getting from the airport to the ship or the airport to my hotel for my pre-cruise, as well as at the end. Another bit of advice is you need to know where the cruise ship is docked. Now, they're not always going to know that in advance. Just make sure, the day before, day of, 2 days before, you have an idea where that cruise ship is located. For instance, we did Christmas markets and we were on Viking. Viking had a lot of ships around. They were spread all over the place. We needed to know exactly where we were going. Most of the time, the river cruise company will give you even the phone number to the ship. So we just called up in the morning and we're like, hey, where are you? And they told us exactly where they were. It was easy then for us to do a rideshare right to where they were docked. Just keep that in mind. Packing for a river cruise, you need to remember a few things. The cabins are not big typically. They don't want you bringing 2 70-pound luggage for each of you. You don't have a ton of storage usually. Also, the crew, a lot of times the captain is lugging your luggage onto the ship, so be easy on them. We typically recommend 1 medium suitcase, and a backpack or a day bag. That's what we recommend. Think dressing with layers, have really comfortable shoes because you're going to be moving a lot. You're going to be walking a lot. That's just going to come with the territory. Remember that nothing is dressy on river cruise. Comfort, maybe call it, smart casual or country club casual. You don't need tuxes. You don't need suits. So you can typically just dress comfortable. Everybody's out exploring all day. The cruise lines, they understand this. They're not expecting you to dress fancy to go to dinner. A small compact umbrella, a light rain jacket just to cover it because you just never know about the weather. Bring a power adapter. Make sure so you can plug into European adapters or wherever you might be traveling. It's a good idea for each of you to have one of those. And it never hurts to have a portable charger, especially if you have a phone that tends to drain the battery really fast. You may be gone for 6 hours, 8 hours. You want to make sure that you can still take those pictures with your phone. Sometimes you can join a Facebook group for your sailing if you find one out there and get some good tips. If you have any dietary needs, contact the cruise line in advance. Find out what their policies are. Sometimes they'll tell you, we just want you to meet with the chef and the culinary team on board. Other times they want you to fill out a form. So just something you definitely want to do. Again, I got to stress, pack light. We fit a shocking amount of clothing into carry-ons. Now, you don't need to take just a carry-on like we do. You could take a medium-sized suitcase, but you'd be shocked how much we fit in a carry-on. We can fit 10 plus shirts, multiple pairs of shorts, jeans, jacket, everything that we need. It actually fits. Just try to pack a little lighter than you're used to. A few things, you're always going to have a cruise manager on board. They can give you recommendations of what to do off the beaten path, help you with your free time. Some people like to do the morning excursion, then they do the lunch on the ship, and then they take a little bit of a break, a nap. And then you go out after that. You don't always have to do another tour in the afternoon. You're going to be very, very busy on these river cruise lines. Don't burn yourself out. Sometimes you get overnight stays. It's so fun to walk off the ship even after dinner and take a walk. We've had some really nice times doing that, strolling around. There's other people, local people around. It's a really good time. Take advantage of it. Look on your schedule where you're staying late or even overnight. And if you can, book on board your next one. If you're loving it, go ahead and see if there's any onboard incentives to book your next one. There might be, and they can still assign it to your current travel advisor, and your travel advisor could go ahead and add maybe additional savings or perks or upgrades. That might be a really smart thing to do as well. Just so you know, don't be shocked if you book that beautiful balcony cabin and it turns out that you're stacked against other ships. They call it rafting, docking side by side, where you're literally walking through other ships to get to the actual dock and to get to the town. That's common. If you're in peak season, it's part of it. Just embrace it. There's going to be mornings you wake up, you open your drapes, and you're literally almost looking into another cabin. Hopefully they have their drapes closed. So that's just kind of the way that it goes. That's part of river cruising. There will be times you will not have the immaculate view that you were hoping for at all times. There's always a sun deck on top. So if your view is somehow obstructed, there's always a sun deck. There's always seats. There's always chairs. It's amazing up there. Spend a lot of time up on the top of the river cruise ship. You're going to love it. All right, so now just some last things to wrap up. Some post-booking timelines. I think best bet, take a photo of this. These are things you should do immediately after booking, then about 6 to 11 months out. You don't need to do everything instantaneously at once, okay? I know this is a lot. It doesn't have to be done in one day. You can spread this out over a few months. So make it fun, make it enjoyable. Just tackle one thing at a time. Don't tackle all your excursions the day you're going to tackle your flights. When you're in the home stretch, make sure you make that final payment. Select your excursions, book the hotels, the activities. Don't wait till last minute. Here's some things you can do 1 to 2 months before. You can even do a lot of these things a few days or a couple weeks before. About a week before, make sure you do all your final checks. Take a picture of this as well. Make sure you've already done your online check-in. Download everything you need to download. Have backups. That's really important. Charge everything. Make sure you know how everything works. Now all that's left to do is make this trip unforgettable, right? So you booked the cruise. You've done the planning. You're going to have an amazing time. People love river cruises. We love river cruises. We have at least 2 planned for this year that we can't wait to go on. They're just really special experiences. Go ahead and put in the comments below anything that I missed, any advice that you would share with people if you've done a river cruise before. Also share with me if you have one coming up. We love to see kind of what's your plan, what you have coming up. That would be great. And then check out these videos that you see here on the screen where we give even more in-depth information on how to choose the perfect river cruise line for yourself. So with that, we're going to see you out there.